All right. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Nique, and we have a special guest by the name of Dominique Alexander. He has been representing for the Anthony family and been there since last year. I remember a video of you coming out of the court with him during the bond hearing that had got reduced. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became connected to the Anthony family?
So, just to introduce myself, I'm Minister Dominique Alexander. I run an advocacy organization, one of the largest human and civil rights organization here in North Texas, called the Next Generation Action Network. And we was founded in 2014. We've been a part of a number of high-profile cases in this organization. I founded this organization when I was 25 years old. Um, as a person who is connected to the social justice community across Dallas, I remember last year when this situation happened. And just like anybody who is just living here in North Texas, we're looking at our local media, and we're seeing all of these posts and stuff about this situation, right? Mind you, it's important to note that this day most of us was all under a tornado warning, right? It was pretty much a bad weather day. But I remember these posts and I remember these comments, and then I also remember Megan Kelly talking about it, and all of these white supremacists basically comments, and it was like this thug, this nigger, this blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, what does that got to do with everything? You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, because normally a case of this in the regular sense, this is not a case that we would normally get involved in, right? You know what I mean? But because of the reaction of the situation and the uh violation of due process, we were like, no, something got to be done. So the next morning, I'm getting calls and inbox from everybody saying, Dominique, you got to help this baby. You got to do something. You got to get involved or whatever it is. And I don't know him. And I'm like, okay, well, somebody got to get me connected to his family. At this point, if you're looking at the reactions of what's going on and even credible news sources reporting of Carmelo Anthony, I'm thinking, I'm pulling up on apartment, I'm pulling up on a section A, what I mean, whatever it may be. Not
Yeah.
a two-parent household, not a beautiful family, not in a gated community and blah blah blah. I'm not pulling up to a 4.0 GPA student, none of this. You know what I mean? Like I'm not knowing this. And so I remember we got there and we met with the family and just trying to really just get involved with it. And I remember having one of our general counsels, Kim T. Cole, come there. And I had there was another person brought an attorney by the name of Billy Clark. And their sole purpose was to get to Carmelo and say, hey, sit back, shut up. You got support. We're here. Also show him the photo of his family, everything or whatever. And I also talked about, because we are an organization who is well known in North Texas, it's important to know that we brought the largest protest in Collin County history after the McKinney Pool Party incident in 2015, when the young African American lady was slammed by Officer Caseboat, Eric Caseboat. I was 26 years old when that happened. I'm 37 now, so more than 10, 11 years ago. Um, and so we reached out to the Frisco Police Department about all of the threats and the safety concerns of the Anthony family. And our job as an organization was to help support in any kind of way and advise and support this family. And of course, our organization was there to support in making sure that security, from whatever, from a realtor standpoint, everybody, anything they needed at that point, from moving, from everything or whatever. I also also wanted to mention something about this too, because I saw some people talking about this in the last couple of days. In Nick, it's very hard to have cases like this because we live in a society where everybody is so clickbaitish, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next generation action network do not choose attorneys, right? We
All right.
just
Well, well, I'm gonna pause you. I don't want to jump ahead.
no,
I know
no,
there's
we
so much
good.
that you want to say,
No,
but before we go any further, I want to so I just wanted to know like a little bit of background about you, your organization, and basically it sounds like you started to get involved with the Anthony family after you started seeing all of these death threats, all of these mischaracterizations and things like that. I want to fast forward to his press conference. This was very early on after the situation happened. It was Karmelo Anthony's mother, his father, and I believe you spoke as well. I'm going to play a little bit of it. I'm going to ask you questions about it and then we're going to keep going, down. I'm going to try to move, swiftly down, but we're going to
no
get to
problem.
the lawyer thing cuz that's something that a lot of people are blaming you for some reason. So we're gonna get to that, but let's start right here.
It my life's mission to ensure
Oh wait.
as a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my three younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because
All right, I'm gonna fast forward because I think you start talking.
he's been raised in a two-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in the legal process.
All right, I'm gonna pause her right there. So that was the beginning of the press conference, and somewhere during the press conference, I believe the Metcalf father ended up coming to the press
Yep.
conference, and he was turned away. Um, can you tell us about that?
Well, so this is the press conference. So mind you, this is after the bond hearing, right?
Okay.
And they are just this is when Judge Tucker, the judge that was hearing the writ that was filed to hold the bond hearing. This is previous before indictment of the actual case. And so of course we know she reduced Carmelo's bond down to $250,000, right? And so one of the reasons why this press conference was even held was because of the fact that when Judge Tucker was getting all this heat, there were people and right wing people and false journalists that deliberately put out that Carmelo Anthony's family had bought a car and a house with their Give Send Go money. And and many people ask me why we have press conferences, blah blah blah. Judge Tucker was about to literally put Carmelo's bond insufficient because it got so believable that it was on TMZ, it was being online to CNN, it was everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And we like, what? Wait a minute, this. And so, you know, I said, okay, Kayla, you got to speak. And it's really hard for me to hear Kayla because if you know Kayla in her
Who is
personality,
Kayla? Is
Kayla
Carmelo
is the
Anthony's
mother,
mom?
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony's mother, and Kayla is a strong person. But a person with it just less words, don't do too much talking or whatever. And I know that took a lot out of her to really do that. But so we held this press conference because they deliberately lied, and we had to have the platform respond and say they did not even have access to the fund, right? uh Prior to the press conference, now mind you, this is um the Anthony family was unaware that Austin Metcalf's dad was in the actual building. They were Andrew and Kayla was in a secured area. They never saw Jeff. They never saw him at all. um and I remember getting one of the reporters to tell me that's the dad. I remember JD Miles with CBS 11 told me exactly, and I was like, the dad of who? Cause for me, I never saw him. I never met him in person, so I don't know him. You know what I'm saying? I could have. And so I remember we had to delay the press conference about 45 minutes just for the police to escort him out. We also saw, why couldn't he be there? This was a criminal case. He could not be there. You know what I mean? This family could not be around him, right? And so that's just basic thing. That wasn't about me. You know what I mean? It was about the simple fact. And this is not a public place. This is my private office. And you came to a thing that was reserved for press. So we had to take care of that situation, and that was pretty much the deal on that first press conference.
Okay, because there was a lot of people who, like you said, they were feeling some type of way that he was turned away. My thoughts were, I've seen, and maybe it's something that's mainly in the movies, but I've seen several movies where the father or the parent of a victim will come and they will um act like they come in peace to get right up on the person that did it and harm them. So I felt in my mind that it probably wasn't probably the appropriate time, but people had problems with it. I'm gonna just show a quick piece and then we're gonna move on to like after that, then we come to them seeking out an attorney and so on and so forth, like that. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me show this.
Defense. That brings us to the press conference. Jeff Metcalf was seen wearing sunglasses and talking on his phone at times while waiting for the family of Carmelo Anthony to speak. Dallas police showed up and Metcalf was asked to leave. Officers told him that he would be charged with trespassing if he did not leave. He told CBS News Texas he thought it would be an opportunity for the two families to come together in a productive way. Here's Carmelo's mother once the press conference resumed.
In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened.
All right, and hold on. I think there was something where the father spoke and he was saying that he wanted to come in peace and he was praying for the Anthony family and he was like all of these things. Well, it's a stark contrast, and if I can find it, I'll put it up. But I thought it was in that clip. But it's interesting that in that press conference where people were saying that he comes in peace and love, it seems like his position now is hateful.
It was the same way let me make this very clear, because even after this, he lied on social media saying that when he was told to leave the first time, he left. In which that was very, very, very false, because there were plainclothes Dallas police intelligence officers that were there that gave him the first warning to leave. And then they brought in uniform officers, right? um and in this situation, this is not based on whether Dominique Alexander deems this appropriate. This is advice from an attorneys and all of these different types of things. Can this happen? He's here. You know what I mean? And like, no, they can't be around each other. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to. Okay, this is not me saying bringing my security, which we had security there. I could have literally had my security team escort him out, but to be respectful, I had Dallas Police Department escort him out. You know what I mean? I'm pushing my team back and I'm telling them, hey, don't say none of this, man. Let them handle it, whatever it may be, because I don't want nobody and I don't want none of my team saying or somebody saying they put their hands on them or this, that, and the third. Watch them, but don't say nothing else to them. You get what I'm saying? Let the police department. I never personally said anything to him or whatever, because like I said, Nick, I didn't even know who he was. You get what I'm saying? I one of the things I'm trying to get people to understand, and so it's like, oh, he came to pray. Why can't he be there? Why can't he this or whatever? And it's like, how am I supposed to find out that he come and pray when he ain't said nothing to us? He ain't came to the organization that is holding the press conference and saying that. He's not coming in introducing himself. That man came right in there and stood right there on the side of that podium and said nothing. So how was I supposed to know he came to pray or whatever this is or whatever? Like, he didn't come as a person like what he tried to say on social media. But of course, like you said, Nick, that whole tone changed very quickly.
Right. And I see a lot of you guys coming into the chat and you keep saying, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? So Dominique Alexander is a person who has been an activist and he has his organization for activism and getting justice and things like that. I'm sorry if I butchered it, but you can clarify afterwards. This is him after, this is you guys after the bond hearing. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is Dominique Alexander at the after the bond hearing with Karmelo Anthony when
This
his
is after
bond.
he was. This was after he was released.
Okay,
This
and
this is when
then
we took him home.
this right here, you are with Karmelo Anthony's mother and father and
And
some
yes,
other family
that's
attorneys.
that's a part of my team right there. Those two guys.
Okay, and oops, what happened? All right, and then right here is the you speaking to Karmelo.
Mhm. That was Carmelo first time
All
meeting.
right. All right. Come on, man. Just follow back behind us. Just stay close, okay?
Karmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say, Karmelo? Do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victim, to the family of the victim? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Karmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
Well, is there anything you want to say to the community that's donated?
All right. All right, so that's you guys, and just wanted to show people a little bit of you guys' connection. Now, fast forward, he needs an attorney, right? He gets a bond, he gets out on release, or tell us how that went leading up to where Mike Howard comes in, because there's a lot of confusion about Mike Howard and things like that, and they think that you brought him to the family or anything. Can you clarify? Can you speak to that?
It's one of the things that Nick I literally found out this was going on real quick, the bond hearing was set for a Tuesday. Mike Howard was hired before the bond hearing. Mike
Okay.
Howard was hired 4 or 5 days after the incident. Mike Howard was hired on a Sunday. The family literally interviewed probably several attorneys. Okay. The Andrew met with multiple different attorneys. Out of the 7 to 9, out of the 9 attorneys that they met with in our office, 7 of them were black. And I told somebody earlier today, I said, what I'm not gonna do is sit here and explain myself and act like it was a whole bunch of black attorneys in April of 2025 ready to go to Collin County. If anybody's telling you that, they're lying and the
Wait,
truth ain't in
you
them.
said half of them were black when they
Half,
interviewed, or
half of them, more than half of them were black that
that
they
they
that they
interviewed?
met with, that
Okay.
they met with, right? As an organization, we can't choose an attorney. We can't even be in the room because of attorney-client privilege. There's no credible attorney that is going to even want me in the room or anybody from our organization in the room at that time. Let alone this is a sole choice. We've been around for 12 years, and like this is not my first rodeo. We have cases of Crystal Mason that was sentenced to 5 years for illegal voting in the state of Texas. Like, you know, we do not get in the practice of choosing attorneys for families. Mike Howard was sent by a recommendation by many different people, links and everything. Whoever was literally available to be able that wanted to consider this case. Now, mind you, as people are looking at this, they have to remember this is not Dallas County. This is Collin County. So one, you have to have somebody even willing that want to actually practice in Collin County. This is a county that has a real history of racism and bigotry, and we saw that displayed. And and so all of a sudden, when this situation go down, it's like I'm seeing all these social media posts from different people talking about I would have did this, I would have did that, and I'm like, well, my phone number and my email is on every one of my social media accounts. So if you had interest in being part of the Carmelo Anthony case, you could have emailed and made that concern known.
So do you know who gave them the recommendation to hire a white
It
attorney?
it wasn't a, a recommendation. There were multiple different people, even including people in their family, about this white county, about hiring a white attorney or a black attorney. But it wasn't just about solely hiring a white attorney. Let me make this very clear. Mike Howard was hired. Toby Shook was added by Mike Howard as his second chair. The family didn't choose Toby Shook, right? Okay. So it wasn't no all white lawyer team or whatever it is. They didn't hire that. You know what I mean? And even to be transparent, I even had them in requesting and saying, "Hey, y'all need to add a black attorney on multiple different things." I can't sit here and go right now and talk about all of the things that we talked about, but some of the sentiments that people have, I share with them personally,
So
right?
okay, so basically what I'm gathering is um people felt that because, and this is just kind of what I'm gathering, people felt that because the town and the infrastructure of the courthouse is racist, it might be better to get a white attorney to get better outcome. Is that what the thinking was?
That was some of the thinking, but the reality is that the reality that there were so many different black attorneys rushing for this case, That's just not true. It's not true whatsoever, right? And one of the black attorneys that we met wanted to charge this family a $500,000. So it's like, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute now. I know we ain't gonna sit here and act like that it was just a bunch of black attorneys that were for an option, and then black attorneys that were familiar with Collin County, you know. And so, with that being said, I believe Andrew did what they could do in this situation, but nothing
And when you
indicated.
say Andrew, because everybody doesn't know Karmelo Anthony's parents'
Okay,
name,
correct,
so you
correct.
have to say
Andrew is the father.
yes.
Andrew and Kayla, which is the mother, did the best that they could with the options that were available to them. But I want people to understand this was not a process that, because I see people getting in their head, and I heard somebody was online talking about, oh, they did the bond hearing and then they hired the attorney. No, this family had 24 hours to hire an attorney. It was Friday when I met them. The bond hearing was on Tuesday. They didn't have a lot of you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Even I heard somebody said Dominique Alexander got them to fire a black attorney to hire a white attorney. And Nick, they had the audacity to quote and say that I fired my general counsel. Kim T. Cole is the general counsel of the Next Generation Action Network. She's a civil attorney.
Okay.
It's not even a, like, what the hell are we talking about here? You know what I mean? She's a civil attorney. Kim T. Cole is the attorney on Crystal Mason's civil case. Kim Cole is the civil attorney for Dejaria Becton, the young lady that was slammed by Officer Eric Caseboat in McKinney, Texas, pool party incident. She is not a criminal attorney. Billy Clark is not a criminal attorney. Those were placeholder attorneys in order to, when you have a situation, you're going to get anybody with a bar card to be able to get to this person and say, sit back and shut up. They were never supposed to be permanent attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even, I don't, it's kind of like stupidity, because it's like, am I supposed to respond to this stupidity?
Mm-hmm.
And if you gonna say this woman's name, at least you can go on that Texas bar site and say, and look at that little section where she practice areas, and it will say business, civil. If you gonna at least try to attack me, please get your facts together. But you
So
can,
you're getting most of the blame for the attorney. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Because
people.
that's what I've been hearing. That
Yeah,
it
no,
was.
no, no. It's like people saying that I chose the all white attorneys, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute, huh? First of all, Toby Shook wasn't chosen.
I
Two,
mean, Toby Shook was the better attorney, to
and
be
that's what
honest.
people that's what people said. But you remember, Nick, if you can just tell your viewers, what was I? Was I outside the court or in the courtroom? I didn't never
Outside.
go in there. I didn't never go in there, right? Okay, so like at the end of the day, like I can only take what y'all have said. Most people, everybody, even some of the people that I talk with that messaged me on TikTok were saying the same thing you said, that Toby Shook was probably the best one out of both of them, right? I don't know. All I can do is, as an organization, we can only prepare for attorneys to meet a family, and we walk out. And when that family went home, they called me a couple of hours later and they told me that they are going to choose Mike Howard.
Okay.
Either whatever part of whatever somebody want to create or whatever, and I just don't even understand the level of stupidity. How could I fire my own general counsel?
All right. So being that he has been put in this position where it didn't feel like a fair trial to me or anybody else that was in the room. Um, was there or do you know? I'm not sure if you know or not, but like, were there any experts that were available to testify to talk about like bully culture or like anything like that? Or was there just no like experts or do you know? I don't know if you know.
Yes, there were experts. There were resources that we donated for experts. Money that we, donated for experts to testify. There were
And
people on the witness. There were 17. There were 17 people on the witness list that I knew. At least seven of them that let me correct this. Seven of them that I knew that weren't even called. I you know, like I'm trying to tell people all this time, this is not the case that I was aware. But mind you, as an advocacy person, we are not in the meetings with the attorneys to prepare the case. That's not something that I'm privy to. I'm not protected by attorney-client privilege. So you know what I mean? Like I know based off of documents that I saw in witnesses list, you know what I mean? But as for, hey, we're gonna do this day, we're gonna bring this person, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that. That's nothing that I have access to
okay.
because I'm not bound by I'm not protected by attorney-client privilege.
Okay. All right. So going forward, now that Carmelo Anthony has been convicted and the family had a Give and Go that was shut down, he's gonna need a new appeals attorney. How can people get behind the Anthony family and support them?
Well, so based on the rules of give, send, go, and what I told the Anthony family today, the fund has to be created as a legal and it has to directly be administered by an attorney. That's based on their rules of their platform, right? In which the Anthony family was like, okay, that's cool, whatever it may be. And now they have the process of being able to look for an appellate attorney. We know that they had 3 conversations with different appellate attorneys. There's not just one sole person they had conversations with today. Um, and that's pretty much it. But they're going through this process so that they can make the decision on who they want to hire as the appellate attorney.
All right. Another question that a lot of people, or a rumor that a lot of people are spreading, is that Mike Howard was a public defender. So people are trying to say, hey, the family raised all this money to get an attorney, but yet he ended up with a public defender. Can you explain Mike Howard's background and if he's a public defender or anything about that?
It, Mike Howard is, I don't know anything about being a public defender. I don't know anything about that. I do know that Mike Howard practices in Dallas and Collin, and has practiced in Tarrant County. I don't know about no public defender or whatever. I can't speak to that. I've that he all I can speak to it is that he was retained.
So that means that he was not pro bono.
No, he was retained. He was paid for.
Okay. So, because I wanted to clear that up because a lot of people were spreading that. You know how social media is. They don't like verify or fact check. Like one person says it and then it spreads like wildfire. So I wanted to ask you specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is there anything that you wanted to clear up or speak about or say?
Well, Nick, thank you for having me. I spoke about all of the things that, you know, I kind of wanted to say or share or whatever it may be. Like I tell people all the time, you know, I can only be who I am as the president of the Next Generation Action Network. If someone doesn't agree with my post, but I I have a problem with somebody trying to sit here and say anything about me when all I'm going to ask, did you know Anthony's name in April of 2025? And what did you do? What did you support? I know we were out here risking our lives. I know that our organization did everything, dealt with the death threats, dealt with everything that we possibly could to keep this family safe and protected, right? To ensure, when you see me escort Carmelo Anthony out there against security advice or whatever it may be, it's because Carmelo is all of our babies. You know, Nick, I had to leave yesterday because, I always told somebody Carmelo is like a nephew to me. I know Carmelo. Most people know him as a hashtag and a name. I know that baby. I sat at dinner tables with him. I prayed with him. You know what I mean? It's not a show for me. It's not a clickbait. Kayla and Andrew is like a brother and sister to me. We're locked in forever. That's not a it's not a client, that's my family. You know, everybody can this precious boy, this I know that heart. I sat down, broke bread and video games or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I
How
know
can we
who.
speak to grandma? Grandma was strutting it in there. I don't know if the Anthony parents are up to speaking to us. How can we speak to I know they did an interview earlier, but how can we speak to grandma?
Grandma, man, I'm gonna have to ask Kayla because I'm gonna have to see. I ain't never had a
And how
request.
can we speak to Kayla
I,
as
I ain't
well?
never and let me say this quick. Kayla is talking. And today I told them, I said it was important for them to speak. That's why many people, y'all don't have to have me speak anymore. Like that's y'all speak. Um, and in the world to know the pain, to understand and be able to talk about the situation. Um, and so but I can say, I'm gonna make sure that they can get on your platform to speak with you and then kind of go from there. But right now they are preparing for this appeals process. This is a long uphill battle. Like, I told somebody earlier today, listen, I'm not the oppressor. Focusing on me trying to do this, saying who did this, who did that, that all of that doesn't even matter. What
Mm-hmm.
matter is that a baby was railroaded in a courtroom. It was lack of transparency in so many different things, and we have to move forward. I'm not an attorney. I can't argue a case. I can't present an evidence. I can't do anything but continue to do whatever I can to ensure that um, that this family is supported. And they have to make that decision now, just like they are making that decision of an appeals attorney. And what they're going to do with that appeals attorney is make that decision, and they're going to call the Next Generation Action Network. And what we're going to do, just like everybody heard me say, we gonna write the first $10,000 check to it.
All right. So um I think that's amazing, and I'm glad that they have someone that can, help along the way. What I want to know is the video, right? Taking it back to the case, there's so many conflicting stories about this video. Now, what we saw inside the courtroom was a grainy, hard to see video, but there was a lot of people outside the courtroom who said that they went to ISD and watched the footage and said that it was clear, and they said that they saw more than what we were shown. Can you speak on that?
Well, so Nick, you know I wasn't in there, right? But I can tell you I did see the video at Frisco ISD. And the video that at Frisco ISD, it's it's not like you can sit there and look at the pimple on someone's face, but you can identify what's there, right? In front of you. And so what has been described to me, you know, is like, no, you could at least kind of know and count how many people right there. You know
Well,
what
we
I
can
thought.
count how many bodies, but we can't see like faces. You know what I mean? Like we could see like, okay, somebody sitting right there, somebody sitting right there, but we couldn't see like Karmelo in Austin's face, or you know what I mean? It just was like kids there.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were
Yeah.
saying that they were able to see him getting jumped. I couldn't see that. So I was wondering
Yeah.
if you guys saw something different.
No, no, no. No, it's not. I didn't see that with that video. No, I
I
didn't
didn't
see.
see it
I
either.
didn't see him. I didn't see him getting jumped. Oh, you know what I mean? Like I saw movement over there. I saw that there was multiple people around him, but I didn't see. Oh, he was getting. You know what I mean? Like the altercation. No.
Oh, okay. If you guys have any questions, we have had Dominique here for about 40 minutes. If there's anything else that he wants to clear up, he can. But if there's any quick questions that you guys have in the comments, put a Q first for question. We'll take a couple. And then if he wants to expound on anything else. But in the meantime, if you guys put in your questions, I kind of cut him off when he was saying that he's gonna start with the first 10,000. And I'm sorry because I'm one of those people that when something pop in my mind, I'm like, let me ask before I forget. But let's take it back to the 10,000 that you're gonna start with. So when they got this first attorney, your organization started with a 10,000 donation, and you're saying that you're gonna help his next appellate attorney with a $10,000 donation. Is that what you're saying?
Our organization helped raise more than $600,000 for the org, and in the beginning case, I couldn't even, because I'm not the organization's financial person, but it was way more than 10,000 of what we got given through the beginning process. I don't know what the final count is or whatever, because I don't even know. Like, because we paid for experts, we paid for security, there was multiple different expenditures and stuff like that. But uh starting off this appellate process, the main focus was that we are going to make the first seed into this appeals process.
All right. All right. So I'm going to take a couple questions. One person said, can they bring charges to those kids who lied on the stand?
Yes, they can. Perjury, because many things that they said, I just knew that they were coerced, they were lying. They can, but is that likely in that county? Just ask Neek, do she think that's likely in that county? You know what I mean?
No, I think that they got the narrative that they want, and they're not going to, like, why would they arrest the people that to me it seemed like the prosecution coached the kids, because they were like hitting buzzwords that you can tell. And then at one point the prosecution was like, he asked one boy, he was like, well, you the one said provoke first, right? We didn't tell you that word. But he asked none of the other kids that. So that made me think, okay, maybe one kid probably used that phrase, but everybody else, you drilled that into them. That's just what I thought. That's just what I came to. But I don't think that they're going to do that. Like, why would they do that? Like, that they needed them to do that in order for them to get a win. This has been floating around social media as well. Someone says, do you think he's safe where he's at? Because it's being said Metcalf's family member is the warden.
We were able to verify that. I automatically contacted State Senator Royce West, who is the 23rd Senatorial District here in the state of Texas. The Metcalf individual that they're talking about is at the Bird unit. Carmelo is at the Pack unit. It was being reported that he was going to the Bird unit, and that is false. Carmelo is at the Pack unit, and the Bird individual that is the wording that's named last name is Metcalf is at the Bird unit.
Is it closely related though? Like, is he able to have access to the other jail, or you know?
No, it's not. They're not. They're in Huntsville. I believe the no. I don't believe the Pack unit is in Huntsville. It's in one of those. And don't give me the quote in these cities because these are not the most populous cities, right? You know what I mean. I don't know the exact city where the Pack unit is, but it's not in Huntsville. Bird is in Huntsville, and so that to answer your question, no.
All right. So we have two questions back to back. One person said, "Have y'all talked to Melo?" Another person said, "Can he please speak on Carmelo's headspace?"
We have talked with Carmelo. It's he he's been told to keep his head up. He's been told that a community and people from all this across this country is standing with him. Um, but as to his headspace currently right now, it's really hard for me to speak to that. I know I sent a message to him that I love him and keep that prayer. You know what I mean? Like, um, that's pretty much it. But I can't speak to his headspace right now. I know he's distraught by this situation, but I can't speak to it. But I can tell you this is a resilient young man. This is a person who is very knowledgeable and was able to, at least through this year, prepare for yet the worst, but hope for the best. And Carmelo is going to continue to be covered, and his family is continuing to make sure that they keep in high communications with him.
All right. Another person says, "Why didn't they have a character witness?"
All I can tell people, listen, let me say this quick with everybody regarding this case. There were character witnesses on the witness list. There was experts on the witness list. There was people, eyewitnesses on the witness list. Nick can answer this question again. I'm sorry, Nick, to kind of be footballing it to you, but you the person that I saw every day going in and out the court. They weren't called. They were on the list. I can't answer that. I'm not the like I want people to understand as an advocacy org, we got the same questions as you know what I'm saying? We have the same questions. You know what I mean? Like when the family asked me earlier, do you feel like it's wise for us to tell what we need to say and tell the truth? Yeah, hell yeah. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I don't know. I know they were on the list. They were, you know, they were waiting. I know that we had a forensic expert that was on the witness list. Nick, was he called? We
No.
know a psychologist was
I was
there.
baffled because I was like, I said, did the judge not allow any experts? Like, that's what I was waiting on, like an expert to really turn it around, because the lawyer wasn't discrediting the witness. Because I'm like, you can tell they're lying. I know they're lying, but he's not like bringing it around to self defense. It always ends on he provoked. Was it
And
self-defense? No. And I was waiting on Mike Howard to bring it back to, the difference between a peer giving you authority and the difference between a coach giving you authority, and like swinging those things back around, and it never came around. So I was like, well, we didn't get to see the motions. Maybe the judge blocked the experts. I'm not sure, but it just was baffling that not a single expert testified.
listen, I'm pulling up the email from everything that was at least shared with us on what was supposed to be done. That was expenses from our organization, jury consultant, jury mapping, a neuropathologist, a forensic pathologist. I know they were, I know they were paid for. As to whether they was used, you know, not the attorney.
All right. I think he already answered how to donate. They have to get an attorney first, and then they have to set up the fundraiser. Someone says, "Is Karmelo safe, and can we send him money in jail?"
Yes, you can. I told someone earlier because they had maxed out the fund at Collin County, and I told them that it was probably best to do that when he get into the TDCJ system. And so, with that being said, I don't know if this is sometimes in the state of Texas, you will go from one transfer unit to another one. I don't know if this is going to be his permanent transfer unit at for the time, but as soon as he appears inside of the TDCJ system and they process him, you can donate directly to him. But far as I was told, he has not been fully booked into that system yet.
Okay. Somebody said, why didn't the defense bring up the Metcalf brothers were suspended a week prior and that Karmelo was in the tent a week prior? I can't answer the first question. I guess we can answer that or not. I don't know. But I do know that they did mention him being in the tent 10 days prior, and they showed footage. They showed pictures of Eddie and Karmelo sitting on the bench together at the prior track meet as well. As far as why didn't the defense bring up the Metcalf brothers were suspended, you have to put the Metcalf brother on the stand, and when he's on the stand, the information would have to come out through him. They can't just blurt out information about Hunter without Hunter being on the stand. Now, I don't think that they put Hunter on because all of the other kids were lying. I think it was a gamble for him to get up there and, do a whole performance and breakdown and everything like that. But I'll ask Dominique, what does he think about it?
Uh, hey, I echo the same words that you echoed. Like, I think it was a risk. It was very clear and obvious that Uncle Metcalf was not seen at the Collin County Courthouse until the press conference afterwards. I remember somebody saying, it seems like Hunter was able to find the courthouse because he wasn't there throughout the trial. He wasn't seen in you know, we were able to see the dad and the mother, and they were walking in and out. We didn't see Hunter. So
Yeah.
all I can say is that I don't know why. I don't know. And to even go matters worse is that we were also told that Hunter Metcalf was also in alternative school at that time and wasn't even supposed to be at that track meet. Was that
Yeah.
explored? I don't know, but I don't know why they didn't call him to the stand or whatever it may be. But Nick is right that they have to be called to the stand in order to be crossed on that and ask that question. A lawyer cannot just openly testify in court. You know what I mean? And they can't lead in court, even though we know Bill Worski was leading the hell out them witnesses. You know what I mean? But you know that's normally the procedures of a court room.
Okay. Did you want to take any more questions, or how you feeling?
No, I can take one more.
Okay. We'll take one more. We'll do a video question instead. The first person to hit the link will get through. If you are trolling, I'm gonna immediately cut you off and go to like an actual question. So the next one will be video. It will be somebody who clicks the link and do audio. Click the link fast. It's a StreamYard link in the chat. And then we will go from there. And if you guys are wanting to continue the Karmelo Anthony conversation after we finish with Dominique Alexander, we can have an after show afterwards. So LG, after we finish with Dominique Alexander, we can have an after show afterwards. So LG, after we finish with Dominique Alexander.
Oh yeah, let me turn that off. Got you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I cannot hear you. I can't hear anything.
All right,
you guys
go
hear me?
out and come back in. Dominique, tell him to go out.
I can't hear nothing.
Go out and come back in. Drop and come back.
Oh, okay.
Or if you, oh dang, sometimes they could hear you, but not me.
They can't.
I don't know what that's about. Let's hear from the Island Boy.
Oh, wow. Didn't expect to get in because I saw some people beat me to it. I guess just a question about the case itself with Anthony and his appeal and everything, like with his defense. Are they planning, do you know if they're planning on going the route of, I think what's called malpractice or something, like when the defense attorney didn't do a good job? Are they planning on going that route with the appeal?
Ineffective counsel?
Yes.
Ineffective counsel. I can tell you that is one of the hardest angles to prove, right? All I can say is that during an appeals process, it is based off the review of the court's transcript, right? And what was brought on at an objection, and that appeals attorney is going to go and file an appeal on whatever is discovered and what was objected into court, right? As to what the family would do regarding their attorney, I think it's inappropriate for me to comment on that. You know, for me to, because that's a personal decision for them that I can't lead them before they even told the world or the public what they're going to do with their appeal. So I can't speak for them. But thanks for the question, though.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We have another. I don't know if you want to take it, but it's up to you.
Come
on. Pittsburgh MC, and the people who are on video get priority, just so you guys know.
I was wondering, could this case go federal because of they tampering with the jury evidence and stuff?
I don't think so. This is a state case, and this wasn't a federal federal case, so it can't go federal. It will stay state. But what can happen is that you can appeal this case all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. You know what I mean?
If they paid off the jurors and stuff, could the case go federal?
No, I don't think. I don't think so. No, sir.
I appreciate you, man. Appreciate the security. Appreciate everything you did for the family, man. I'm rocking with you, man. No matter what nobody say about you, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, salute.
All right, thank you. All right, there's other people back here, but LJ was the one who made it through first. LJ, I was leaving it open for you to be just like one more. If you could click the link really quickly and we can get your question try to get you real quick if you could click the link. But people on video get priority because I can kind of discern if you're a troll, you'll be seen type of thing. But I'm trying to give LJ a quick chance to come through, but it looks like maybe, I don't know if he's having technical difficulties. I'll give him 5 seconds. If he doesn't come up, then we will cut it unless Dominique wants to answer any more questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so LJ, I don't know, maybe he's having technical difficulties. He didn't click the link again. There's other people backstage. They're not on camera. It's up to you, Dominique, if you want to end it here or...
Yeah. Well, other than that, I saw somebody in the chat or whatever that was asking, was this my first high profile case? No. I had the case of Crystal Mason, Desiree Becton, Botham John, Tatiana Jefferson, and a number of cases that has been, high profile throughout this area. And so no, that's not our first high profile case. Just to answer someone's question that was actually in the chat. But thank you so much, Nique, for reaching out to me. I want to thank everybody for y'all questions. You know what I mean? I know it's easy to, hear clickbait stuff and then you run with it and it goes and I try to keep up with as much to make sure that I'm transparent in this process. But we got work to do and we all will collectively do it together. And I want to thank you, Nique, for using your platform to keep our communities informed, engaged in this process, because we know that we don't have a lot of dependable sources in the media. And it's imperative that we have people who answer the call like you to be able to make sure that people are informed on what is going on. So I salute you, my sister. And anytime, anything I can ever do for you, I'm always one call away.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. And if you want to come back, if you have any more information on how we can donate to the family, how we can support the family, I will appreciate you so much. And we'll call it like that. I think the people who are backstage, I know there are so many of you who want to talk. What I can do for those of you, once I end this live with Dominique, we can all start a panel and I will bring all of you guys up. I don't want to hold Dominique for any longer, but I know there's so many of you guys who are backstage that want to talk, want to ask questions. I'm going to end the live with Dominique. I'm going to start a new live and then I'm going to bring all of you guys up when you click the new live. You guys get it? Shake your head. Y'all get it? LC, you understand? Nikki? Okay. All right. Thank you, Dominique. And all of you guys on live, we're going to refresh the page. We'll come right back. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.